Well, we're on to the Iftar Drive, and it is our series on voices from Palestine. And I'm pretty excited about this afternoon's one. And once again, we need to thank the Palestine Solidarity Alliance, the PSA, for partnering with Salam Media on this initiative because we are talking about voices from Palestine. And we will all recall that Salam Media has embarked on a number of campaigns throughout this entire genocide and particularly focusing on journalism and the work and the bravery and the courage of Palestinian journalists to bring the harsh realities of this occupation and this genocide as well. You will recall that we had brought in Yumna Al Saeed, Al Jazeera journalist, to South Africa, and also we had Hamza Shalan, photojournalist who came through. And we will continue. And this afternoon, this is the reason why I am very, very excited, is we're talking with Shuruq Assad, who is a journalist with 30 years of experience producing hard news stories, features, and also documentaries in Palestine, covering political, cultural, and social events. She has covered critical historical moments in Palestine from Oslo to the current situation. Shuruq, welcome to the show, and I must say, an absolute pleasure having you with us this afternoon right here on Salam Media.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me, and salam to South Africa and to all the friends around the world who really support Palestinians and justice and humanity.
Yes, Shuruq, I've been talking about the bravery and the courage of Palestinian journalists, and we don't see this bravery and courage being displayed by journalists from anywhere else around the world. And particularly in the last 18 months, we've seen with the genocide that has been unfolding in Gaza, which is basically just one aspect of how journalists, have had to work under the most difficult situations to the risk of themselves, their families, their lives, the number of journalists that have actually been killed. And in a way, this afternoon's program with you, apart from just having this discussion, I also want to pay tribute to all these fallen, these brave, these courageous journalists as well, Shuruq.
Yes, I think this has been the deadliest time and year for Palestinian journalists. Our colleagues inside Gaza were really working under circumstances and under genocide that I don't think there's any colleague in the world ever lived this, to live the genocide, to lose loved ones, to lose neighborhoods, homes, hospitals, schools, universities, no water, no internet, no electricity, no food. They were some of them were really starving, losing their equipment, losing their loved ones, staying in tents for months and getting displayed. All of them are displayed, though they were under genocide and they were under attack from Israeli army. All of our colleagues that we lost sadly the past 18 months, it was deliberately shelling. They were shelled because they were journalists. They were bombed because they were delivering the story. We lost more than 200 of our colleagues. 27 of them are female journalists. We have more than hundreds really badly injured, and even Israel did not let them have the right, as international law, to leave Gaza to have medical help and medical aid. Uh, Basically, as I said, I think our colleagues did really brave job. Our colleagues in the West Bank and inside Jerusalem are also facing apartheid, facing settlers attacks, armed settlers, soldiers, invasions in North West Bank, closure. We have more than 900 Israeli military checkpoints and military gates that is really cutting all our neighborhoods, villages, refugee camp, and cities. We ended the 18 months now, and this genocide, it's still going on. The trauma, the sadness, the loss that my colleagues really feel um, cannot be explained to anyone. And they are very brave to continue working, because without them, we would not have really uh, see all the massacres, all the brutal genocide. They are still living, and the people, international community, are seeing, and they are not really pressuring Israel to stop this. Beside, I have to say that Israel is kidnapping, invading our cities and kidnapping children, women, teachers, doctors, students from the Palestinian villages. We have more than 12,000 Palestinian prisoners kidnapped inside the Israeli jails. Nobody can see them. They are banned from any visits, even from the Red Cross. They are badly treated: sexual harassment, starvation, torture, even no medical aid. So we are living in real genocide with different aspects: what is going on in Gaza and what is going on inside the West Bank and Jerusalem, and also inside the Israeli jails.
Yes, Shuruq, for someone like yourself, 30 years in journalism, obviously it is a lifetime on its own as well. And
Yeah.
just for you personally, looking at your journey as a journalist and your experiences as a journalist, how would you describe this, particularly in Palestine and in Gaza? And I mentioned you've obviously looked at Oslo. You've covered some of the most hardcore issues as
Yeah.
far as the Palestinian occupation is concerned. How would you describe that journey?
When I look at it, 30 years of journalism in a place living under occupation, it was always action to survive first, and action to really fight to deliver the narrative, the story of Palestinians that lasted 76 years. Um, it wasn't easy, and it was always, I can say, I survived moments where I could really lose my life any minute. I lost members of family, either in Gaza, more than 90 of my husband's family. I lost colleagues in West Bank and Gaza. One of them was my good friend, Shireen Abu Aqle. I was even I stayed in an office in the invasion, Israeli invasion to West Bank back in 2003, where the tanks were under our office, in our streets all over. Um, it was very hard, but I always had a belief that I still have it, that we have a mission. When I decided to be a journalist, because I wanted to tell the story, because I wanted to tell what's going on in Palestine. But I knew I was always under attack. I was in prison. I was injured. My equipment was demolished. Uh, but what I noticed is that every year things became harder and harder and harder, and all the violations of freedom of speech, of international law, of human rights, it became more and more and more aggressive year after year. This is what I feel, and this is very sad. And let me tell you, when I wasn't born in Nakba in 48, and my parents used to tell me they are refugees. We are refugees from a village which is now a settlement near Jerusalem. They used to tell me, Shuruq, nothing changed because the world did not see the genocide in 48. Now they see, all the world see, but there is the decision not to see. And I think everybody who really stood up silent is partner in this genocide that is still going on. Uh, I'm يعني I choose, as I tell you, to be a journalist, and I think I will go on being a journalist because this is what I want to do as Palestinian, as a person who really wants to tell the human story in Palestine, and even the historical story and how people are living and facing all those challenges in Gaza and West Bank. And it's sad to say now that Gaza, West Bank, Jerusalem 48, they really divided all our lives. And we use the same vocabulary. I can go to Gaza now in 1 hour. I'll be from Jerusalem or Ramallah to Gaza 1 hour by car. I could not go, and I was banned, like all the international journalists, to enter Gaza. And our colleagues were inside, were our eyes and our senses, and they delivered the story, and they are still delivering. But I have to tell you that there will be really hard times for them to go on with all this loss and with all this trauma. I speak with my colleagues nearly daily. Sometimes I call them and they don't answer, and I don't know if they are dead or they are alive. Especially now with the more problem of cut off electricity. Um, I think for years, this will be hard on journalists as well as people in Palestine, in Gaza in particular. But the journalists will be always uh, really, again, the eyes and the senses, whether what's happening in Jerusalem, what's happening in the West Bank, in Jenin, in Al Aqsa, on the checkpoints, with the settlers, with the genocide in Gaza. And I hope we can be able to do it in Palestine. When I covered Oslo Agreement, I wasn't with it because I know my village will not is now a settlement. I will not go back to it. But maybe I said at least I will live in 20% of Palestine. My children will live peacefully in dignity with the same rights of any person living here. But it did not happen. And I covered it and I thought that it will be the end. And now we will go on building our state and building Palestine. But here we are in front of a genocide where journalists are target, our main target. Now, when I move between checkpoints, I have to tell you sometimes I don't tell the soldier that I'm a journalist because the moment I tell them, they will be very aggressive and they will hurt me when they know I'm a journalist. And I have moments where soldiers told me that if we see you again in Jerusalem, we will put a bullet in front of your head. And I told them I'm a journalist, and they said, "Yes, we know you're a journalist, and that's why we are telling you this." It's very hard to be a journalist in Palestine. It's very hard to be a journalist and in an occupied apartheid system. But at least this is a tool to deliver the story of Palestinians.
Well, Shuruq, there's no one else better, no other journalist better than a Palestinian journalist that can actually tell the story of Palestine as it should be told. Because the journalist also knows and the journalist also understands what the Palestinians are going through, because the journalist himself or herself is going through exactly the same thing that ordinary Palestinians are going through. And this is the reason why the Palestinian journalist is best placed to tell the story. And as you mentioned Shirin Abu Akleh as well. And
Yeah,
again, you mentioned that the journalist will never be the same. Now we've had first-hand experience in when we had Yumna Al Said, Al Jazeera journalist here in South Africa, and on a one-on-one, when you talk to her and you find out, he says, how do you sleep at night after having witnessed, after having gone through. We've seen it with Hamza Shahlan, who came here to South Africa as well as a guest of Salam Media. So firsthand, we've had these accounts come through from these journalists. And we're going to go for a quick break. But while we're gone for the break, just something for you to obviously just to think about when we come back, and just to talk about, the fact, why are Palestinian journalists seen as a threat to journalism, and why are they being killed in comparison to the West? Because we've seen what has happened in Israel. Al Jazeera banned. The PA has banned Al Jazeera
yeah,
in the West Bank as well. So,
right.
just to think about that while we're on an ad break. We'll be back in a minute.
Yeah.
companion this Ramadan.
Valley's Motor Spares. We supply motor spares and accessories for all makes and models of motor cars, LDVs, bakkies, trucks, and earth-moving equipment. We deliver on time, every time. Please contact us via WhatsApp on 014-592-0925 or call 014-592-0925 or visit 28 Zenderling Street, Rustenburg. Remember the name, Valley's Motor Spares.
World-class financial services only at Sapphire Global, your financial partner. If you are looking for Islamic Sharia and ethical financial products, look no further. Sapphire Global offers a wide range of financial service offerings from short-term to life and investments. A full-service center with all financial requirements under one brand. Our highly skilled and experienced consultants are ready to help protect your financial future. Contact us on 041 001 0184 or visit our website on www.sapphireglobalfs.com. Sapphire Global is an authorized financial services provider.
More than 800 million people around the world live in deep poverty, uncertain of where the next meal will come from. For those on the brink of starvation, a food pack means survival, dignity, and hope. Send food. Send kindness. Be the reason a family does not go hungry. Donate now to Islamic Relief.
Discover the Africa of your dreams and surround yourself with her spectacular beauty. Relax beneath her serene sunsets and explore wildlife at its natural best. It's where the pride of Africa comes together. The Kwantu Private Game Reserve. Get to know the Big Five or cruise on an elephant safari game drive. Interact with lion and tiger cubs and enjoy world-class halal cuisine while we pamper you during your 5-star stay. Indulge in the true African experience. For reservations, call now on 042-203-1400 or visit kwantu.co.za. The Kwantu Private Game Reserve, the place of gathering.
Freedom Stationery supply Marlin and Marlin Kids pens to me and my school friends. They supply just about everything we need to help us get a better education, from books to files to rulers. In fact, any any accessory we need. Freedom Stationery. Education for the nation. What does accessory mean?
This Ramadan, the PSA will again bring Palestinian voices to you. Join us from Monday to Friday at 4:30 p.m. on Salam Media as we bring you authentic grassroots insight on the day-to-day lived experiences of Palestinians and their struggle for justice and equality. Also join our mass iftar at Emerentia Primary School on Saturday, 15 March from 5:30 p.m. Importantly, support our humanitarian aid drive to support healthcare and housing in Gaza. Contributions can be deposited into Palestine Solidarity Alliance, Absa Bank, account 4070101666. Kindly reference regarding Zakah or Lillah. For further information, call 082-513-3750. Join our socials for updates on upcoming events, programs, guests, and podcasts. Contact 082-513-3750.
You are listening to Salam Media live from our headquarters in South Africa. This is Salam Media, keeping you company this Ramadan.
Well, we continue with our broadcast this afternoon and voices from Palestine this afternoon. The voice of Shuruq Assad joining us from Ramallah, veteran journalist with over 30 years of experience in the journalistic world. Shuruq, just before the break, and I spoke to you about the Palestinian journalists and why they are seen as a threat to the extent that we've seen that they are now not only being banned by this by Israel or by the Zionist entity, but also by the Palestinian Authority, for example, using Al Jazeera.
Yeah, this is sad actually to see. Uh, Israel is targeting journalists since day one of occupation, but it's more after the genocide and war in Gaza. But the PA is, uh, there's no really reason for me how they can do such a thing. We even have arrests for journalists from Jenin, from Nablus, from Tulkarem, concerning freedom of speech. There is a big pressure. This is what the PA say, that there's a big pressure on the Palestinian Authority. Al Jazeera, because there were some programs against the Palestinian Authority, but this is, for me as a journalist, this is really unacceptable. I cannot. Freedom is one pack. We cannot really divide it, give excuses for some and others no. For me as a journalist, I do not accept to silence anybody from any authority, no matter which authority is this, because this is very dangerous in my opinion, and also it's illegal. So yes, this is what's happening, and I'm afraid that maybe we will maybe see other things and other arrests for journalists, because the PA really want to. They know that Israel want to finish them or want them to stay weak, and they want also to rule Gaza. So I think they may be ready, sad to say this, to do anything to stay in authority in West Bank and Gaza, while we all know, I'm a journalist and I follow all the articles and all that is really spread inside Israel, there will be no state really in West Bank, and we know that there will be, Israel is taking over what is left from the land in West Bank. So yeah, this is illegal in my opinion, and concerning, and it makes me feel afraid actually that Palestinian Authority can do such a thing. We are in a struggle against occupation. I think we are in a very hard situation internally, and though people in the streets are with the right of resistance, and anyway, right of resistance, it's what international law says. Anybody who is under attack or occupation, they have the right to resist and they have the right to defend themselves. So, but I'm really afraid for the coming months or years what will really happen. I hope that freedom of speech will be better. Of course, we cannot compare what Palestinian Authority did, compare it to the Israeli occupation, but also it's a sign. It's a red sign. We can agree, we cannot agree with some channels, media channels, but we don't have the right to silence anybody. And this is what we say as journalists. I was in the Palestinian Journalist Syndicate, in the member of the General Secretariat, and when this happened, I resigned. I did not really speak out. Maybe this is the first time I speak this in your program. I took a decision because I wanted always to work for journalists, and I could not accept this to happen. And I thought that even the syndicate will have a better opinion on this to really stand against it and against any arrest for any colleague in the West Bank. Concerning Israel, attacking is not new. We lost 55 journalists since 2012 till 7th of October. We lost 10 years before 7th of October. We have nearly 10,000 attacks on journalists, and this is a lot. So it's not new. Every time I go in the field, me and my colleagues, we don't know if we will be back to our homes and families, because we will be together. We are known, we are journalists. We have our safety vests and helmets and DP stickers and equipment, even though they hit us, target us with tear gas, with bullets, even humiliate us, arresting. We have more than 150 journalists arrested for the violation of what they wrote or so on, that Israel did not accept. But it became more aggressive, yani shelling journalists, target them in their homes, in their offices. We have more than 73 offices bombed in Gaza. They were not safe in their offices, and then they were not safe in the streets. They were not safe in the hospitals. They were not safe in the tents. Israel does not, yani, knows from day one of occupying Palestine that there is a war on narrative, a war on what really happened historically in Palestine. That's why they don't really want any other narrative. And there is a war on journalism, on media, on words, on anything that is getting out of Palestine that will say another narrative that the occupation is saying. Even they want sometimes to kill to make others be afraid and leave their job and do not do it anymore. So I think this is happening always. I will not stop, since the occupation will stay in Palestine.
Yes, but also, Shuruq, I think, when what we see, especially in the age that we are in the digital age, in the age of social media as
Yeah.
well, where we've seen this genocide unfolding live, actually, and to a large extent, thanks to social media, that we are witnessing
Yeah.
what we have never ever seen in the past, and the Almighty alone knows what has been hidden in the past, if what we are seeing right now is
And
as
imagine
horrific
if
as it is.
you see a little bit. Yani imagine if our colleagues are safe with internet, with electricity, they could have with movement. They tell us always they have lots of stuff inside their phones, but they never managed to let it out because of the internet. They did this although there was cut off electricity and internet, and really very hard to move with all the
Mm.
destruction and unsafety. So imagine if they could have worked freely, as international law say, that protected, they could have really shown us more. Yani imagine what more we did not know and what more we did not see. And as you say, in the past, what also, yani every corner now in Palestine has a story. Uh, Now, when I'm talking to you, I received messages that there are things in the old city. Settlers are near Nablus now attacking. Bulldozers are demolishing homes in the refugee camps in Tulkarem and Jenin. Our colleagues and families inside Gaza now, they have no electricity.
Yes.
Borders are totally closed. No food. So every corner there is a story in Palestine.
Well, definitely. And just finally, I just need your thoughts on Western mainstream media, corporate media, journalists that are associated with corporate media. And, we've seen how lies have been debunked over and over again since the beginning of the genocide as well.
Yeah.
You've got the mainstream version, and then you've got the reality on the ground as well. And just your thoughts, Shuruq, on how you see mainstream media and what harm mainstream media has actually done to the cause of the Palestinians.
First, let's agree that words like bullets, they kill, right? And they can participate in misleading the information to people, and to be part in killing people. And this is what this media did, because they were saying fake information. They were spokespeople to the Israeli army, IDF, without even doing the homework that we all learned as journalists to make sure of every single video or information they broadcast, but they didn't. And they even dehumanized Palestinians a lot, and they were giving excuses all the time, and even let me tell words of, for example, it's a war between Israel and Hamas or Israel and Gaza. No, it is a war. It's Palestine and Israel. And for example, Palestinian children in Gaza had no pictures, had no names, had no lives. And when they talk about it, it's very quick and they say killed. Nobody knows anything. But Israeli children are victims. We know their faces, we know their stories, and of course, I'm against the killing of any person, of any human being, of any child. But be fair and do really ethical journalism. But they didn't, and that's why I say they participated in this genocide. They are partners in this genocide. They've seen it all. They banned information. There was even no information, historical information, as if things started on the 7th of October. No, there is history, there is a story, there is occupation going on for years. So in my opinion, there was even this stereotyping of, as if it's a war between, and this is what Netanyahu said at the beginning, as if it's between civilized Israel and West, white, colored eyes, blonde Christians against uncivilized savages, Muslims, colored skin, Arabs. There was this, it was very clear, this terminology and vocabulary and stereotyping, and it made me feel very angry and it made me feel very sad. When they were talking to me sometimes, asking, are you sure he was a journalist when a colleague is killed? Are you sure, for example, she was a doctor or he was a doctor or a teacher, as if they were part in not covering the human story inside Gaza. And it has always been the same. There was never really the international media, mainstream, and so many of them, they were never historically gave justice to the Palestinian story. But I never thought that we will lose 150,000 people between under rubbles or killed or injured and displaced and hunger and attacks and all this use of bombs, and they will stay as they are, as if, I think they should look in the mirrors and ask themselves if they really relate to humanity. Because, for example, how they covered Ukraine, it was never the same. It wasn't the same. So they should answer us why it wasn't implemented, why our children weren't protected, why our colleagues weren't safe and protected, why all this happened and nobody really covered it as genocide, as real genocide. Even when, South Africa stood for this court, they even did not broadcast it.
Yes.
Which was very strange for me. So,
Right.
yeah, so I think they are partners in this, in all the way they covered.
Well, certainly, Shuruq, I wish we had a lot more time, but unfortunately, time has run out, and I know there's just so much that you can actually say.
Know a lot. I always feel responsible to deliver what's going on with my colleagues and here. So, but thank you for having me. Thank you for South Africa's support. It really means a lot to every single person in Palestine. It gives us
Well,
hope.
we do appreciate you as
and
well.
change.
Well, we appreciate people like yourselves as well, Shuruq. Your bravery, your courage as well, in the face of all the adversity that you are facing, all the challenges that you are facing, and still being able to do what you can do at the end of the day. And as a journalist, like I said, we've actually learned a new word with this genocide. We've learned things like feticide. We've learned of genocide now, with journalists being killed. Now that is now a new word that we use in our dictionary as well. So, we will continue, obviously, as independent media. We will do whatever we can to tell the story, and together with people like yourself, supported by people like yourself, and all the other brave journalists from Palestine, we wish you all the best. And once again, we do appreciate you taking time out this afternoon. All the best to you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Shuruq Asad joining us out of Ramallah this afternoon, right here on Salam Media, as part of our Voices from Palestine series, together with the PSA. And with that, we're going to go for a break. And we are still staying with Palestine, with Gaza. We're talking about education when we come back, before we hand you over to Maulana Yunus Kawanga, who will take you through to the time of iftar in Johannesburg.